Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another Y.B.D.U interview. I am so excited to be presenting you guys Monique Duurvoort. She was with the Dutch National Ballet for 13 years, and she is now a choreographer based in the Netherlands. So, Monique, whenever you're for you to just come on, get on this live, and present yourself. I'm super excited for people to meet you. Hey, Monique.
Hello.
Hey, so good to see you. You look so great.
Well, thank you. Nice to see you.
Hi. Yeah. So Monique, we got to know each other through Y.B.D.U, right? We didn't
Yes.
know each other before that, which
Yeah.
is what Y.B.D.U is so great for, connects people from all over. Do you maybe want to start talking about your dance history? I know it's a pretty extensive history, but if you could just give it in short.
Yeah. I'll try to do it really short because it is quite long. I started ballet when I was 7. My mom put me on ballet because I was just very energetic. Then, when I was 9, I auditioned for the academy in Amsterdam, which is now National Ballet Academy. And I went through, from that moment, I just went through the whole training and straight away went from school to Dutch National Ballet. I danced there for 13 years and as a member of the Corps de Ballet. And after that, I reschooled myself. I don't know exactly how you say it in English.
hmm
Um, and I did arts and cultural management because I thought that I was gonna go make my next move in that area because I was always very interested in also the organizational and business part of arts organizations. And yeah, because I was also a member of the union and the works council at National Ballet. Um, and what I should not forget to say, because that led up to my choreographic career, from when I was 14 years old, that was the very first time I went out to a club. And from my mom, she drove me to the club and also went to get me. That was the only I could
Wow.
only go in the holidays. Um, and there was a moment, or how I got in contact with other dance styles, which were, done in the club, which at that time was like the old school hip hop, because I'm really talking quite long ago. Um, so it was actually the revival of the whole breakdance and scene and New Jack Swing and well, everything like that. So even before actually house uh, became part of it.
hmm
And so that's how I got to know very well like the club styles, hip hop styles, or whatever styles were done. And by accident, actually, I became a choreographer, or to how it feels for me, because when I was doing my course for arts and cultural management, I had a chance to try a little thing out at this program that Dutch National Ballet presented every year for their dancers or ex-dancers to try out to try out some steps with choreography or light design. And I actually decided to yeah, to try something out with choreography, where I used these different yeah, dance styles that I knew, both from my from the work that I did as a professional dancer, from more the academic styles, and what I had known from the clubs, and I kind of tried to mix that. And yeah, that very unexpectedly became very, very successful. And from that moment on, I was actually became a choreographer. And from that moment, like really my choreographic career went really quite fast. Also because um, here in the Netherlands, this was kind of the time when this whole like urban and hip hop thing where, you know, was being shown for the first time, like in theater settings, which was actually not really the first time, because I had seen already years before that also from French companies who used to visit, you know, Amsterdam. I had seen hip hop in theater settings, but I was kind of yeah, I guess in the Dutch professional dance scene, yeah, kind of seen as this new urban crossover choreographer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and just got in a short time quite successful with it.
Okay.
So that was
That's
actually the
that's
start. Yeah,
gorgeous.
but yeah.
Yeah. We'll hopefully get back to your work later on, but I think what people would love to know is how it has been for you navigating such a big institution like Nationale Ballet. And you said you kind of grew up in the school and then went straight into the company. How has that experience been for you as a person of color?
Yeah. Well, I can say that only much later, and I think really for a certain part, I only started to realize, you know, the way how you experience, you know, your life within professional dance, and then especially within professional ballet dance, um, only quite long after I was out of it. You
Mm,
know, I think because I was thinking before this talk about my experiences and what I was going to, you know, say about that. I think my very first experience where me as a person of color came became an issue, not per se at that moment meant in a bad way, but that it was presented, that
mm-hmm,
it presented itself, was when I was around 12 years old in the academy, and this was the moment where I got asked by the director to come to the office, and I was actually doing quite well. I was talented, but at that moment, the director took me aside, and in a very sweet and honest way, told me that I was going to be trained to become a contemporary dancer, and that they were going to train me for Nederlands Danstheater. So not Dutch National Ballet, because the chances that I was going to um, be be accepted in a ballet
understood.
company were very, very small because of my color. And at that moment,
Mm,
I remember that moment very well, but I don't remember that I was shocked or very hurt. I mean, I was 12, and also in the way how it was brought to me, it was very um, gentle. Um, so I think maybe from the director quite caution, but I at that moment didn't feel like it was something that hurt me or something. It was just like, oh, okay.
mm-hmm,
Um, and in that moment, then yeah, I just went on. And the strangest thing was when the time for like auditioning came, when I was fully prepared to, you know, find my way in Nederlands Danstheater, where I totally did not think at all anymore at Dutch National Ballet. The strangest thing was when I didn't get accepted at Nederlands Danstheater, but I did get at National Ballet, and that was,
right.
I really was not prepared for that,
Mm-hmm,
because I never, yeah, had that idea. So that was the very first time when I was 12 years old. Then I think one of the next things was when I was just, I think this was also when I was about to start auditions, or when I was just at the company. I don't remember exactly, but I was very new into the professional dance life, and I remember one also again in a very sweet way was advised by a colleague a professional female dancer, that it might be better for me to wear a little skirt because of my behind that was more outspoken than what I guess the classical ballet aesthetic required. So again,
it's in those little
and it's
things,
very,
right?
it is very in these little things, and also I think very much the way how it is brought to you, because it's not like oh, look at you, it looks terrible. I mean, it was all very gentle and or
Right.
gentle, well meant, let me put it in that way. But so those were quite subtle,
Yeah.
well, subtle examples. And later on, when I was about very early already, in when I started National Ballet, you got the thing about the painting yourself lighter for the classical works, which is I think in the Netherlands, I don't know how to say, it's quite a well-known story, because I had been at, like, let me make very clear, I was not the only dancer of color at Dutch National Ballet. And I'm talking now, the period that I was in the company was between 1990 and 2003. So we're talking about like decades ago. And yeah, so there was, there had been both like male dancers of color and some female dancers. There also had been previous, before, like in generations before me, not many. I mean, where you can count them all on like, or less than 10, yeah, basically. But there had been, and the request to paint yourself lighter was also a normal thing. I think for me, it was not my thing that made me not want to do it. Was not per se because everyone had to paint themselves for the pancake, you know, for the lighting and not to be shiny on stage. But for me, it became very clear that it was because of the color of my skin, you know. So I said very, very early on that, yeah, I refused to do that. And got into a little bit of problems with it. But what really made a big change was when I had the request, and I was, I think, around 5 years in the company already then. And the thing was also that it was not only requested for only the classical class.
I think we lost you for a bit. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
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 Gorgeous.
But yeah, so, but also for the Balanchine, or, you know, neoclassical repertoire. So I refused it. But what made a big change was when I was about 5 years in the company, and I got the request again during a performance of Swan Lake. Well, the version of that Dutch National Ballet, Swan Lake, at that time was consisted of 4 acts, where the second act and the fourth act were the white acts for the swans. And there was a break for the audience between the second and third act, and third and fourth act. So during the break, one of the staff members came into the dressing room and requested again, like they had done before, for me to paint myself lighter, because literally, yeah, it disturbed a bit the aesthetic picture. I refused to do that. And the big difference with all the times before was that for the very first times, they said to me, well, if I refused to cooperate, this might be grounds to fire me. And that was a new thing for me. And from that moment on, the next day I filed an official complaint to the directors and the board members too, and the workers council, because I really wanted the Dutch National Ballet as an organization to, yeah, if this is was what their policy was about, then you should just be open about that. You're
Right.
standing there in the center of multicultural Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
and if me not wanting to paint myself lighter for for aesthetic reasons, if that can be grounds for to fire me, well, that's
Then,
possible. I mean,
yeah,
that's your policy, but then be open about it.
right.
And that is when, for the first time, when
Mm-hmm.
it really, yeah, when yeah, it became
That's like
very,
a
very difficult.
higher level of aggression, and I'm sure there's many of those stories that you can share with us, but I'd like to believe that we are in a different time where I
Mm,
feel like things like that are, I wouldn't say not possible anymore, but would be more openly critiqued, right?
yeah.
And I think what is gorgeous when we have conversations with people from different generations is that we can really see, acknowledge, and learn from all of your past experiences. And I really truly recognize myself in what you said earlier about people immediately from the get-go sending you in certain directions in the dance world just based on your skin color. And I was wondering if you could just, if there was a young ballerina watching right now and they were told, or a young ballet dancer, pardon me, and if
Hmm.
they were told that indeed they should consider more of a modern or more of a hip hop career, how would you tell them to deal with that? Would you tell them to just continue doing what it is they want to do, or would you tell them to, you know, take it with a grain of salt, or what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think that at this moment where I'm at right now, I think that that's quite a difficult, for me personally, quite a
Mm-hmm.
difficult question, because um, I've had this discussion with a few people, and actually with a few very young dancers, and even with dancers who are really, yeah, very young and just starting to go to the academy, and who have this,
Mm-hmm.
this, of course, not per se only becoming a ballet dancer, but um, yeah, well, I think first of all, you should always you know, do whatever you want to do as long as you're not harming other people,
Mm-hmm.
with whatever you're doing. But whatever your aspirations are, yeah, my first thing is that go for that there where your passion is, where I stand now, but I can only say this in, how you say, retrospect, like as
Yeah.
in looking back
Mm-hmm.
on that. I've been for the last, I think, yeah, what, 7 years. I have been really starting to question. Um, yeah, I'm going to be very honest. I'm literally questioning the profession of ballet because of, and I know this might sound very dramatic, but it's been very difficult for me to, when I think about it, when I think how I have been living through it, and I don't want to say like, oh, it was all tragedy, because it was not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but thinking back, as into from what a young age you are being taught a certain way of looking at yourself, um, and how yourself is compared to the outside. What is the aesthetic that you are trying to reach within, um, which for me is a Eurocentric Western, yeah,
Ideal.
ideal,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Exactly.
perception of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, yeah, I think it's very hard for young people to already see, the full scope of all these different aspects that this
Exactly.
dance style has. At the same time, I also do not want to it's not in my on my place to yeah, to say, oh, you should absolutely not do that. But I do
Mm-hmm.
know um, the you know, if I look back at what it has done to embody classical ballet, to internalize those aesthetics, and with internalizing, trying to reach that specific goal of a perception of beauty that is, however you put it, this is my opinion, huh? So
Mm-hmm. No, no, no. Go for it.
which is yeah, which comes from a yeah for which is a very Eurocentric
Yes.
white perception of beauty. And
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was just, it almost becomes this question of what is the importance of being part of these white central like institutions? What is the role of that? How can we best prepare people who are going to be coming into those institutions, right? And I think
Yeah,
that's where like
yeah, yeah. Well, I
yeah.
think that the difficult thing is for me where I stand now again, and I can say this because of where, you know, how old I am now, and looking back on, you know, all of those years being having been in it and having been around it. Um, for me, it's very, very difficult to these kind of institutions that besides making, you know, their beautiful work, you know, artistic wise, they represent something else than only their artistic yeah, work that they make. I mean, these kind of institutions represent the pillars of European heritage and culture. And for me, it's very difficult um, to figure out how I can detach ballet as a profession from its history and from
Hmm.
its time when it was made, you know, and because of the way how the dance form is still executed, it's still very much in connection to yeah, these this kind of
Values.
yeah, these
Yeah.
values. And even though, you know, there's many discussions about, you know, diversity and inclusivity and representation of everyone and every color, but that does not change this
The history and the
yeah, and this
inherent
kind of yeah,
nature.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I see we're like already at 23 minutes here, and there's so much we could talk about. But I think to end this, I'd love for you to just, yeah, talk about what it was like for you to be at the Y.B.D.U meeting that you attended. And do you feel like there is a difference with what is possible with our generation and what was possible for you? And maybe also quickly try to talk about the ways that you have been speaking up, because I know you've been very active in talking to companies and on councils and such. So it'd be nice to just get your perspective on that.
Yeah, well, I got in contact, you know, with yeah, with your group through Christian, which is a dancer who I know from, you know, from over here in Amsterdam. And I was yeah, like I also said in the at that meeting, that online Zoom meeting, I was very, very impressed and happy to see um, yeah, this gathering of on an international level of young dancers. And I was also very I won't say surprised because that sounds stupid, but I was uh, really how you say in English, the way the self-awareness, the level of self-awareness, and the way how you already at this early in your, you know, in your career are actively discussing all of these kind of topics. Because I think for me, this all kind of realization and looking at, you know, my profession and my career and questioning all these things that I have been taught from when I was, and most of us who go through an academic, training, only came when I was way out of it,
Mm-hmm.
also because there was not a, and that's what I encounter still now, especially with people from my generation. People don't want to talk about this. People do not want you to question these foundations and these, yeah, you're not supposed to, uh, yeah, you're not supposed
Question.
to do that. You
Mm-hmm.
should,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you should be respectful. You should be grateful that you were, one of the chosen ones, which you still are. But coming back to your group, this is what I think is very, very important, and also what I was also, you see the necessity of, you guys connecting already from, a young age, because and that's also a bit sad to hear, because I hear the same stories that I I I know,
Mm-hmm.
because I lived it. And uh but again, I think the connecting and knowing that it's not something that's in your head. It's not something that it's just, you think that you're the only one who is encountering this kind of yeah environment. And it's very important that, very helpful, that you can communicate about that, and also in a safe space, because we
Mm-hmm.
all know that the moment you start speaking out, and especially in the professional dance scene, yeah, it can harm your career, and it does often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so. Thank you for your kind words. That really means a lot to us. Are there any final words that you want to like put out there to the world? Just some final words of positivity, maybe.
Some final words. Um, no, I think, well, again, uh, I think everyone, within the possibilities that we have over here, which are still, I can only speak for myself, are still very privileged. If you see what's happening everywhere,
Hmm.
also in Europe, what's happening, and not even to speak about, other parts of the world who are way, way less fortunate. So that's one thing that I do always try to, I do very realize very much how privileged, I am. But for what can, yeah, to give to other people, as in, yeah, to go for whatever, where your heart lies. And I think, in professional dance, I think it's very interesting, and to, to, from very early, to not question in a negative way, but question to yourself, what is it that I'm looking at, you know and question, and not that you have to go radical, go radical against it, but the things that we are being taught, and especially I think in the way how the European academic dance is formed, which is still has a big base in, the way how, often it has ballet somewhere at its base, and the hierarchy that's made, through ballet, where you're taught to do whatever you're being told and not question anything. I think it's very important to do question, and I'm not
Hmm.
saying it in a negative way, but just, what am I looking at, what am I being taught?
Hmm.
And yeah, and to look to, so to just be very aware, whatever the
Exactly.
steps that you literally take in your career. And if you
Hmm.
feel it's your passion, you should do it, but do it because you want it, and because you, yeah, because it makes you happy, and not because you're trying to strive for something that someone else has said, yeah, this is the highest achievable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so spot on. And I can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your wisdom because you do possess something that we don't, which is already a career behind you, right? Or like still, you're still in it, just in a different phase of it. So thank you so much, Monique, for coming on. I'm sure there's so much more that we could say and we want to say. But for that, hopefully we can catch you in one of the next meetings. Next
Yeah.
one is the 13th of September. So yeah, thank you so much. Sending you so much love
Yeah.
and
Back to you
back to,
all.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Great.
Kisses. Bye. Bye, Monique.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.